Hello students, today we start the new lesson number 5, heat in science part 1. First of all, given some basic questions. Can you recall what is the difference between heat and temperature? And one more recall question is given. What are the different ways of heat transfer? So we revise the answer of these two questions that is given on one page. Check now here. So difference between heat and temperature. So you mark there. What is mean by temperature? The answer is here. The degree of hotness of a body is called temperature. This is the answer. And what is mean by heat? So mark the answer from here. The flow of heat energy from one body to another due to a temperature difference between the two is called heat. So that is the difference between heat and temperature. Second question given here. What are the different ways of heat transfer? So already you learned in previous standard. Different ways or modes of a heat transfer are three. Which one? First one is conduction, second one is convection, and third way is radiation. So these are the three ways of heat transfer. Next, we are going back to our first page. Next, in previous standard, we have learned about heat and different types of heat transfer. We have also performed few experiments related to expansion and contraction of solids, liquids and gases. We have learned about the difference between heat and temperature. We have also seen how temperature is measured using a thermometer. So temperature, so you underline temperature is measured by which instrument? So name of that instrument is thermometer. Next, concept like latent heat of phase transformation, anomalous behavior of water, dew point, humidity, specific heat capacity, etc. are related to certain phenomena experienced by us in our day-to-day life. Let us learn more detail about this concept. So first concept given here, latent heat. One activity is given, so all of you read this activity properly and carefully. Few points are given. Take a few pieces of ice in a glass beaker that is shown in the figure. Insert the bulb of a thermometer in ice and measure its temperature. Put the beaker on a stand and heat the ice using a burner. Record the temperature using the thermometer after every minute. As the ice is heated, it starts melting. Stir the mixture of ice and water. Continue the heating even after ice starts melting. Draw a graph of temperature versus time. After taking the few readings, we try to plot a graph of temperature versus time. So I will show on that next page. So this is actually an experiment. Now if we are plotting the graph, so we are getting the graph like this way. So I will give the explanation first. See here what is given. You will observe that the temperature of the mixture remains 0 degrees Celsius till the ice melts completely. If we continue heating even after conversion of all the ice into water, the temperature of water starts rising and reaches up to 100 degrees Celsius. At this temperature, water start at 100 degrees Celsius. What happened? Water start converting into steam. The temperature of water remains constant at 100 degrees Celsius till all water convert into steam. Already you know that the melting point of water is 0 degrees Celsius and boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. The graph of temperature versus time shown in the figure 5.2 on the next page. Now in that graph, line AB represent conversion of ice into water. So you underline this line AB in that graph. What is that represent? Conversion of ice into water at constant temperature. When ice is heated, it melts at what temperature? 0 degrees Celsius and convert into liquid water at this constant temperature. The ice absorb heat energy during this transition and the absorption of energy continues till all the ice convert into water. See in the graph and next explanation. Check here. This line AB indicate here what ice convert into water. The temperature remains constant during the transition. This constant temperature, check. This constant temperature at which the ice convert into water is called melting point of ice. So instead of this, use the word the. The constant temperature at which the ice converts into water is called melting point of ice. You mark that definition properly in your textbook. Thus, during transition of solid phase to liquid, the object absorbs heat energy, but its temperature does not increase. This heat energy is utilized or used for weakening the bonds. For that purpose, that heat energy absorbed between the atoms or molecules in the solid and transform it into liquid phase. The heat energy absorbed, so mark the next definition. The heat energy absorbed at constant temperature during transformation of solid into liquid is called latent heat of fusion. What is that called as? Latent heat of fusion. So you mark that answer properly with the help of bracket. Next. So next related concept is what is specific latent heat of fusion. So answer is given in bold lines. So you mark that. The amount of heat energy absorbed at constant temperature by unit mass, by fixed mass or unit mass of a solid to convert into liquid phase is called specific latent heat of fusion. So we learn the three definitions here. First one is a melting point here, then latent heat of fusion, and last one specific latent heat of fusion. Next, once all the ice is transformed into water, the temperature of water starts rising. It increases up to 100 degrees Celsius. In graph line BC indicate that, check that, line BC in the graph represent rise in temperature from point B to from up to point C. Check carefully. So line BC in the graph represent rise in temperature of water from 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. Therefore, even though heat energy is supplied to water, its temperature does not rise. Why? Because boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. The heat energy is absorbed by water at this temperature and used to break the bonds between molecules of the liquid and convert the liquid into gaseous phase or gaseous state. Thus, during transformation from liquid phase to gas phase, what happened? Heat energy is absorbed by liquid, but its temperature does not change. So mark the definition. What is mean by a defined boiling point of liquid? Your answer start from here. The constant temperature in which, check here. Your answer mark from here. The constant temperature at which the liquid transform into gaseous state is called boiling point of liquid. And next definition start from here. The heat energy absorbed at a constant temperature during transformation of liquid into gas is called latent heat of vaporization. Why that is called as latent heat of vaporization? Liquid convert into vapor state or gaseous state. Next definition is given here. Specific latent heat of vaporization. So we mark the answer. The amount of heat energy absorbed at constant temperature by unit mass of a liquid to convert into gaseous phase is called the specific latent heat of vaporization. So that is a conversion from solid to liquid and liquid to gas. That concepts are given here. Next, different substances have a different melting point and boiling points. The values of melting point, boiling point and latent heat depends on atmospheric pressure. So in this table about some substances, that is a given here, and their melting, boiling point, specific latent heat of fusion or vaporization all are given. So you remember these. Here remember, what is the SI unit of specific latent heat? So this is the SI unit of specific latent heat, that is a kilojoule per kilogram. And what is the CGS unit of specific latent heat? So this is the CGS unit of specific latent heat, that is a calorie per gram. Remember, kilojoule per kilogram is SI unit and calorie per gram is CGS unit of specific latent heat. Next, use your brain power. Two questions are given here. Is the concept of latent heat applicable during transformation of a gaseous phase to liquid phase and from liquid phase to solid phase, means opposite manner? Second question given, where does the latent heat go during this transformation? So we revise the answer on one separate paper. That is the answer given here. First one. So answer of the first point, yes. The concept of latent heat is applicable during transformation of gaseous phase to liquid phase and from liquid to solid phase. And second one, where does the latent heat go during this transformation? Answer, the latent heat during this transformation is given off or released in the surrounding. These two questions asked for 2 marks. Come back to our next point. So use your brain power, answer of these two questions given on that paper. Page number 64. Regulation. You may have seen the preparation of an ice ball. First, an ice slab is shredded and then the shredded ice is pressurized around the tip of a stick to prepare the ice ball. So, how does the shredded ice convert into solid ice ball? If Similar question given here. If two small pieces of ice are taken and press against each other for a while, for some time, they stick to each other. Why does this happen? So we revise the answer of this question on one separate paper. Check here. Question is given here for 2 marks. First point. While preparing an ice ball, the shredded ice is pressurized around the tip of the stick. Applied pressure lowers the melting point of ice below 0 degrees Celsius, causing it to melt momentarily. This merges shredded ice pieces into one. And fourth point, once pressure is removed due to regulation, freezing point is restored to 0 degrees Celsius and the piece refreezes in the form of a single solid ice ball. So here one process is occur, that is the regulation process. So we learn about that regulation process here. Check now. Try this. As per shown in the figure, take a small slab of ice, a thin wire, two identical weights. That is shown in the figure. Put a slab of ice on a stand as shown in the figure 5.3. Hang two equal weights of the two ends of a metal wire and put the wire on the slab as shown in the figure. What do you observe? So answer is given in the next paragraph. So this is the question asked here. What do you observe? So answer is given here. It is observed that the wire gradually penetrates, means goes down the ice slab. After some time, the wire comes out of the lower surface of the ice slab. However, the ice slab does not break. The phenomenon. So why that ice is not cut into two pieces? So mark the definition. One process is occur here. That process name is called regulation process. This is the definition. Define regulation. Yeah, what is regulation? Like this question asked in the exam. The phenomenon in which the ice converts to liquid due to applied pressure and then reconverts to ice once the pressure is removed is called regulation. Next, the melting point of ice becomes lower than 0 degrees Celsius due to pressure. This means that at 0 degrees Celsius, the ice gets converted into water, because melting point as well as freezing point of water is the same, that is 0 degrees Celsius. As soon as the pressure is removed, the melting point is restored to 0 degrees Celsius again and water gets converted into ice. Remember this point. Next one. Again use your brain power. Some questions given for us. In the above experiment, the wire moves through the ice slab. However, the ice slab does not break. Why? So, in short, we learn regulation process occur there. So we see here the answer in detail. Well, second question: is there any relationship of latent heat with the regulation? And one more question: you know that as we go higher than the sea level, the boiling point of water decreases. What would be effect on the melting point of solid? These three questions are given. So we see the answer of these three questions here. Okay, first question related to ice slab does not break. Second question, relation of latent heat and regulation. And third one, what would be the effect of melting point of solid? Is it correct? Now see. So answer of the first one. some points are given. When the wire with weights attached to its two ends is placed on the ice slab, its weight acts along very small area of contact between the wire and ice. As a result, pressure gets applied on that part of ice slab. This lowers the melting point. Lowers means decreases the melting point of ice below 0 degrees Celsius, and ice is converted into water due to regulation. Some more points. The wire cuts through water and shifts downward. As the wire displaces, means goes down, pressure applied by wire on ice slab vanishes and its melting point reached over to 0 degrees Celsius, causing freezing of ice again. In this manner, wire goes through the ice slab completely without breaking it. Answer of that second question. Latent heat required to melt layer of ice is provided by the metal wire, and heat given off on refreezing of ice is conducted through wire. Answer of the third question. If a substance expand on solidifying, then application of pressure lowers the melting point, decreases the melting point. Conversely, if a substance contract on solidifying, then application of a pressure raises the melting point. Since water expands on solidifying, applying pressure lowers its melting point. With increased height from sea level, that is at high altitude, atmospheric pressure decreases. What happens at high altitude? Atmospheric pressure decreases, causing melting point of ice to increases. If the solid contracts on solidifying, then low pressure at high altitude causes its melting point to lower or decreases. That is happen related to our question. Come back to our main point. So next point we learn here, that is the anomalous behavior of water. Okay, one more question given for us. Can you tell? We feel, where is that question? Here. Can we feel? We feel that some objects are cold and some are hot. Is this feeling related in some way to our body temperature? So answer of this question also we see on one paper. See here. Yes, answer is what? Yes. This feeling is related to our body temperature. What is our normal body temperature? 37 degrees Celsius. Now first point. When an object has a temperature higher than our body temperature, so what we are getting sensation? It gives sensation of hot to our body. Such object gives off heat energy to our body. Second point, when an object has a temperature lower than our body temperature, our body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, means less than 37 degrees Celsius. So what we feel? It gives a sensation of cold to our body. Very simple. Such objects absorb heat energy given off from our body. Very simple concept is given here. Next. Now next point is anomalous behavior of water. In general, when a liquid is heated up to a certain temperature, it expands, and when cooled, it contracts. That is happening in most of the liquids. However, water shows a special and exceptional behavior. If we heat water from, so you underline water from 0 degrees Celsius up to 4 degrees Celsius, it contract instead of expanding. It is not expand, it is a contract from 0 to 4. At 4 degrees Celsius, its volume is maximum. Underline. At 4 degree. Why? Because from 0 to 4, instead of contraction, what happened? It contract instead of expansion. So at 4 degrees Celsius, its volume is minimum due to contraction. If the water is heated further, then after 4 degrees Celsius, what happened? It expands and its volume increases. So this exceptional behavior shows by water. So we learn here new concept related to the water, that is anomalous behavior of water. So mark the definition. Yeah, what is meant by anomalous behavior of water? The behavior of water between its temperature from 0 to 4 degrees Celsius is called anomalous behavior of water. All of you mark that definition. If 1 kilogram of water is heated from 0 degrees Celsius and its volume is plotted as a function of a temperature, we get the graph shown in the figure 5.4 on the next page. At 4 degree, underline, at 4 degrees Celsius, the volume of water is minimum. It means that the density of water is maximum at 4 degrees Celsius. Volume is minimum at 4 degrees Celsius, but density of water is maximum at the same temperature. Remember these concepts. Next, so we are showing the graph like this. Check. Study of anomalous behavior of water using Hope's apparatus. Especially Hope's apparatus is used for the study of anomalous behavior of water. The anomalous behavior of water can be studied with the help of Hope's apparatus. In Hope's apparatus, this is a construction now. Construction of Hope's apparatus. In Hope's apparatus, a flat bowl is attached to a cylindrical container as shown in the figure 5.5. Check on the same page. There is a provision to attach thermometer above to measure temperature T2 mentioned here, underline here. Above thermometer measure the temperature T2 and below one more thermometer is fixed to measure the temperature T1. The flat bowl on the cylindrical container. Water is filled in that cylindrical container and mixture of ice and salt. This mixture of ice and salt is called as freezing mixture, underline, is put in that flat bowl. During the study of anomalous behavior of water using Hope's apparatus, so temperature T1 and T2 are recorded after every 30 seconds, and that recorded readings plot on the graph. So we are getting the graph like this. Check here. The temperature, so Hope's apparatus given on the page here. Above thermometer measure the temperature, what? T2 degrees Celsius. Below the thermometer measure the temperature T1 degrees Celsius. Here in this flat bowl, what is present? This is a freezing mixture, that is the salt and ice, and here one outlet is mentioning. Now see the explanation. Start from here. The temperature are plotted on the y-axis and the time in minutes on the x-axis. The graph is shown in figure 5.6. The graph shows that initially both the temperature T1 and T2 are identical, means same. However, as time passes, temperature T1 of water in the lower part of the cylinder decreases fast, while temperature T2 of water in the upper part of the cylinder decreases comparatively slow. Hence, once the temperature T1 of the lower part reaches up to 4 degrees Celsius, it remains almost stable at that temperature. Then T2 decreases slowly to 4 degrees Celsius. Thereafter, since T2 starts changing rapidly, it recorded directly 0 degrees Celsius first, and after that lower thermometer T1 records 0 degrees Celsius temperature. The point of intersection of the two curves shows temperature is maximum density. Shows temperature of maximum density. So see in the graph, that intersection given on the next page. So your question is given for us. What is that question? How can we explain this observation that is given in this paragraph? Initially, what happened? Check. Initially, the temperature of water in the middle of cylinder lowers due to freezing mixture in the outer bowl. Since the temperature of water there decreases, its volume decreases and its density increases, because we know the formula of density. Density is equal to what? Mass upon volume. Mass upon volume. Density is equal to, relation of density and volume is inversely proportional. Remember this. That's why volume decreases, density increases. The water with higher density moves downward. Therefore, the lower thermometer T1 shows rapid fall in temperature, and till this continues till the temperature of the water becomes equal to 4 degrees Celsius. When the temperature of water starts decreasing below 4 degrees Celsius, its volume increases and density decreases. Underline. Therefore, what happened? Therefore, it moves in the upward direction. The temperature of water in upper part, that is the T2 temperature, therefore decreases rapidly to 0 degrees Celsius. The temperature of water in the lower part, that is the T1, however, remains at 4 degrees Celsius for some time and then decreases slowly to 0 degree Celsius. That is happen with the help of Hope's apparatus. So in this graph that is shown. Check here. Which thermometers? Here T2 thermometer and here T1 thermometer. So T2 thermometer lower the temperature. First of all, T1 thermometer lower the temperature up to 4 degrees Celsius. It remains steady for some time. Then T1 thermometer decreases its temperature, and this point is called as an intersection. Where is that intersection? 4 degrees Celsius. And that's why water shows anomalous behavior at this temperature between 0 to 4 degrees Celsius. Now one figure is given here and some questions. Use your brain power. How will you explain following statements with the help of anomalous behavior of water? Two questions given for us. That is a give reason questions. First give reason question is, in a region with a cold climate, the aquatic plants and animals can survive even when the atmospheric temperature goes below 0 degrees Celsius. Second question given, in cold region, in a winter, the pipes of water supply breaks and even rocks cracks. So answer of these two questions we see on one paper. Check here. This is the first question given on the same page. I will explain this statement with the help of anomalous behavior of water. Question asking in this way. What is the role of anomalous behavior of water in preserving aquatic life in region of cold climate? So question is mentioning here. See here. In cold, in a region with a cold climate, aquatic plants and animals can survive even when the temperature, atmospheric temperature, goes below 0 degrees Celsius. So see the answer. In cold climate, temperature of water in ponds and lakes starts falling. On getting colder, water contract. As a result, density of water increases and it goes down. To replace it, warmer water from below rises up. This process continues till water temperature of water at bottom of ponds become 4 degrees Celsius. Water, due to its anomalous behavior process, maximum density at 4 degrees Celsius. If the temperature lowers further, ice is formed at the surface of pond with water below it. Then ice being is a poor conductor of heat. Heat is not passing through the ice. That's why ice is a poor conductor of heat, that you underline properly. So that heat blocks the further heat exchange between atmosphere and water in the pond. This maintains temperature of water below surface of pond or lakes at 4 degrees Celsius, enabling survival of aquatic plants and animals. This is the answer of that question. One more question given. Check that. In cold region in winter, of pipes for water supply breaks and even rocks crack. 2 mark question. Some points are given here. Check. This is give reason question. In cold region, as temperature reaches below 4 degrees Celsius, water, instead of contracting, what happens? Starts expanding due to its anomalous behavior of water. As temperature decreases from 4 degrees Celsius to 0 degrees Celsius, volume of the water increases continuously. Volume increases. At the same time, metal pipes carrying water and rocks with fissures filled with water undergoes contraction. As a result, pipes and rocks experience force applied by water and break. That is happen in nature. All are getting? These are the 2 give reason questions given there. Answer also explaining here. So be careful. Try to write the answer in the form of question and answer. Next point. Dew point and humidity. All of you know that about 71% surface of earth is covered with water. Due to constant evaporation of water, water vapor is always present in the atmosphere. The amount of water vapor in the atmosphere helps us to understand the state of daily weather. The presence of water vapor in the air makes it moist. So mark the answer. What is meant by humidity? Define humidity. So answer here. The moisture in the atmosphere is called. The moisture in the atmosphere is called humidity. Very simple definition. For a given volume of air at a specific temperature, there is a limit on how much water vapor the air can contain. If the amount extend here. If the amount exceeds this limit, the excess vapor converts into water droplets. When the air contains maximum possible water vapor, it is said to be saturated with vapor at that temperature. The amount of water vapor needed to saturate the air depends on temperature of the air. If the air temperature is low, it will need less vapor to saturate the air. For example, see here. For example, if temperature of air is 40 degrees Celsius, it can contain 49 gram of water vapor per kilogram of dry air without condensation, means not forming the drops of water. If the amount of vapor exceeds, means over this limit, the additional vapor will condense. However, if the temperature of air is 20 degrees Celsius, it can contain only 14.7 gram of water vapor per kilogram of dry air without condensing. If the vapor content in air is less than maximum limit, then air is said to be unsaturated. That air we are not feeling a moisturized air. So we learn here new point, mark there. What is mean by dew point temperature? Yeah, dew point. Suppose unsaturated air at a certain temperature is taken and its temperature is decreased. A temperature is reached at which the air becomes saturated with vapor. This temperature is called dew point temperature. Again and again you read these points and revise properly and keep in your mind. Next definition, define absolute humidity. The vapor content in the air is measured using a physical quantity called as absolute humidity. So mark the definition from here. The mass of vapor present in unit volume of air is called absolute humidity. Generally, absolute humidity is measured in kilogram per meter cube. What is the unit? Kilogram per meter cube. Remember, the feeling of humid or dry nature of air not only depends on amount of vapor in the air, but it also depends on how close that amount is for making the air saturated with vapor. These are the two conditions are given here. On two factors, we are feeling the air humid or dry. It means that it depends on temperature of the air also. Next definition, define relative humidity. The ratio of actual mass of vapor contained in the air for a given volume and temperature to that required to make the air saturated with vapor at that temperature is called relative humidity. Next, what is mean by percentage relative humidity? So formula is given, percentage relative humidity is equal to actual mass of water vapor contained in the air in a given volume divided by mass of vapor needed to make the air saturated in that volume multiplied by 100. So this is a formula of percentage relative humidity. Remember. Next, page number 67. The relative humidity at a dew point is 100%. Underline. The relative humidity at a dew point is 100%. If the relative humidity is more than 60%, underline, sorry for this. Yeah, come back to our point. If the relative humidity is more than 60%, so you underline, we feel that air humid, means moisturized, 60%. Next, if the relative humidity is less than 60%, then we feel that air dry. when we are feeling the air dry or humid or moisturized, that condition given here in this paragraph. During winter season, you may have observed a white trail at the back of a flying plane in a clear sky. This is our general observation. As the plane flies, the vapor released by the aeroplane engine condenses and forms clouds. If the surrounding air is having a more relative humidity, it takes a long time for that white trail formed by the condensation of the vapor to disappear. For disappearing that white trail, more time is required. Why? Because more humidity present, more relative humidity present in air. That we learn here. If relative humidity of the surrounding air is less, either the size of the white trail may be small or it may not even get formed. What is the second condition? If the relative humidity of the surrounding air is less, then what happen? Either the size of the white trail may be small or it may not even get formed. White trail is not formed when relative humidity is less. Try this. Take a bottle of a cold water out of a refrigerator and keep it outside for a while. Observe the outer surface of the bottle. These two questions for your homework. Try this at home. Drops of water can be observed on the outer surface of bottle. In the same way, if we observe the leaves of plants or grass or window glass of a vehicle in the early morning, we see water droplets collected on the surface. This is our general observation. Through these two observations, we sense the presence of water vapor in the atmosphere. When air cools due to decrease in temperature, it becomes saturated with water vapor. As a result, the excess water. So what happened? As a result, excess water vapor get converted into tiny droplets. The dew point temperature is decided by the amount of vapor in the air. Next point. Two definitions are units of heat. Underline. The units of heat are joule in SI. SI unit is joule and CGS unit of heat is calorie. So two definitions. First one, define 1 kilocalorie heat. The amount of heat necessary to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius from temperature range is given 14.5 to 15.5 degrees Celsius is called 1 calorie heat. Second definition, what is meant by define 1 kilocalorie heat? So that is the second answer here. The amount of heat necessary to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water by 1 degree Celsius from 14.5 to 15.5 degrees Celsius is called 1 kilocalorie heat. One relation is given. It is clear that 1 kilocalorie means 1000 calorie. So define 1 calorie heat, define 1 kilocalorie heat, what is the SI unit of heat, what is the CGS unit of heat, and 1 kilocalorie means 1000 calorie. All these points you remember. Always remember, if we heat 1 kilogram of water by 1 degree Celsius in a different temperature range than 14.5 to 15.5 degrees Celsius, the amount of heat required will be slightly different. Therefore, it is essential, it is necessary to define a specific temperature range while defining the unit of heat. Means in these two definitions, this range is important that you mention in the answer. calorie and joule are related by the following relation. So remember this relation. 1 calorie means 4.18 joule. 1 calorie means 4.18 joule. Next, introduction to the scientist. James Prescott Joule, he was the first person to show that kinetic energy of tiny particles of matter appear as heat energy, and also that energy can be converted from one form to another. Conversion of heat energy to work gives the first law of thermodynamics. That's why the unit of heat is joule after him. Joule is the name of scientist. So this is a small introduction given about the scientist James Joule. Next, page number 68. Specific heat capacity. Some material is given, procedure is given. See in the figure specific heat capacity of metals. There is showing there in the figure showing three different metals: iron, copper, and lead. See the procedure. Take three spheres of iron, copper, and lead of equal mass. Put all the three spheres in a boiling water in the beaker for some time. Take the three spheres out of the water. All the spheres will be at a temperature 100 degrees Celsius. Put them immediately on the thick slab of wax and note the depth that each of the sphere goes into the wax. For same time, these three spheres of different metals we are putting in that boiling water, and after the same time we are removed and putting on this wax slab. And observe what we observe. All the three metal spheres goes into the wax in a different depth. See the explanation. The sphere which absorb more heat from water will go more heat to the wax. More wax will thus melt and the sphere will go deeper in the wax. So which sphere absorb the more heat? Obviously iron. Which sphere absorb the least heat? Obviously lead. And intermediate, that is the copper. So it can be observed that from the figure, check that. So it can be observed that the iron sphere goes deepest into the wax, lead sphere goes least, means minimum, and copper sphere goes to intermediate depth. This shows that for equal rise in temperature, the three spheres have absorbed different amount of heat. This means that the property by which determines the amount of heat absorbed by a sphere is different for the three spheres. This property is called as your specific heat capacity. Like the students, same teacher teaching for all the students by the same manner, but you are getting the less or more marks in the exam. That it depends on your specific capacity, your specific heat capacity. So mark the definition now. Define specific heat. So mark the answer here. The amount of heat energy required to raise the temperature of a unit mass, means fixed mass, of an object by 1 degree Celsius is called the specific heat of that object. Now SI and CGS units are also given, that you mark. What is the SI unit? First of all, specific heat capacity is denoted by the small letter C. SI unit of specific heat capacity is joule per degree Celsius kilogram, and CGS unit of specific heat capacity is calorie per gram degree Celsius. Both the units are given here. This is the CGS unit. All these values given in CGS unit of some substances. So you check the values. Your specific heat capacity of water is 1 calorie per gram degree Celsius. Remember the figures. And minimum 1 is a maximum specific. Water shows the maximum specific heat capacity, that is 1 calorie per gram degree Celsius, and I think a minimum in case of, check the value, mercury. Is it right? So check all the values and remember. Specific heat capacity of some substances given in the table. Next, if specific heat of an object is C, specific heat is mentioned by the letter C. The mass of an object is m. If the temperature of the object is raised by some value, that is temperature, that is mentioning by triangle T, delta T in degree Celsius, therefore heat energy absorbed by that object is equal to mass multiplied by specific heat capacity multiplied by change in temperature, m into C into delta T. In the same way, if the specific heat of an object C, mass an object is m, and if the temperature of the object decreases by the same temperature delta T degree Celsius, the here temperature is decreases. So what happened? Heat energy lost. Therefore, heat energy lost is equal to m means mass of the object, C means specific heat capacity, and delta T means what? Temperature of the object is decreased. That's why loss of heat energy loss. By using that formula we find out. Next, now heat exchange. See in the figure, box of heat resistant material like a thermos flask, and inside hot object or cold object, both the objects are placed. So what happened? In these two objects, they are come close to each other. So heat lost by the hot object and same heat is absorbed by the cold object. That phenomenon, that process is occur inside this heat resistant material or heat resistant material box. See the explanation. Heat exchange. If heat is exchanged between a hot and cold object, the temperature of the cold object goes on increasing. Underline. That is happen. The temperature of the cold object goes on increasing due to gain of energy, and the temperature of the hot object goes on decreasing due to loss of energy. Is it right? The change in a temperature continues till the temperature of both the object attain the same value. So in this process, the cold object gain heat energy and the hot object loses heat energy. That phenomenon is occur inside that box. If the system of the both the object is isolated means nothing is present around them. Only that material is present. They are that materials come close contact with each other from the environment by keeping it inside a heat resistant box, meaning that the energy exchange takes place between the two objects only. That's why that is a heat resistant box is used for this purpose. Then what happened? No energy can flow from inside the box or come into the box. So energy exchange between that two objects only, that process is occur in that box. So that principle here called as principle of heat exchange. So you mark here. Heat energy lost by the hot object is equal to heat energy gained by the cold object. This is called principle of heat exchange. Last point of this lesson is measurement of specific heat, that is called as a mixing method, or in previous standard you learn about the calorimeter. So calorimeter is used to measure the specific heat of the substance. The specific heat of an object can be measured using a mixing method. Underline. Specific heat of an object can be measured using the mixing method with the help of calorimeter. For this, calorimeter is used. For this purpose, calorimeter is used. You have learned about calorimeter in the previous standard, yes or no? If a hot solid object is put in the water in a calorimeter, heat exchange between the hot object and the water and calorimeter start. This calorimeter is made up of copper. So you draw the diagram of calorimeter from your previous standard textbook. This continue till the temperature of the solid object, water and calorimeter becomes equal. Therefore, we are getting the formulas here. Now check. Heat lost by solid object is equal to, so that heat gained by the water in calorimeter plus heat gained by calorimeter. Calorimeter means that is a one vessel made up of copper, and in that calorimeter water is present. So this is one formula. Here heat lost by the solid object indicated by the capital Q is equal to mass of the solid object multiplied by its specific heat multiplied by decrease in temperature. Next, heat gained by the water, that is indicated by the letter Q1, is equal to mass of water multiplied by its specific heat multiplied by increase in its temperature. And one more, heat gained by calorimeter, that is indicated by Q2, is equal to mass of calorimeter multiplied by its specific heat multiplied by increase in its temperature. So we are getting this final formula here. Heat lost by hot object is equal to heat gained by calorimeter plus heat gained by water. So in short, symbolically we mention here capital Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2. Using these equations, if the specific heat of water and calorimeter are known, then specific heat of that solid object can be calculated. So specific heat capacity of any solid object calculated with the help of calorimeter. That method here called as what? Mixing method. All are getting? So in this way, in this lesson, what we learn about the concepts related to the heat and some basic concepts also we revise in the form of question and answer. Thank you.